Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome. We are here with Nishita Ranganathan to discuss India's digi-health future in the wake of coronavirus. So, without further ado, ma'am, with the lockdown, we have seen a closure of OPDs, medical services across the country, and once now that they have started opening, one risks the chance of getting an infection if one does go to the hospital. In this scenario, digi-health can be a savior. How do you think India should proceed with DigiHealth?
Hi, Kriti, and thanks for having me. So, actually, India did not need this unfortunate COVID-19 event to acknowledge the value of DigiHealth as a knee-jerk reaction that we see right now. There's been a strong and compelling case for India to adopt it for two reasons primarily. One, to enable access to health for all, and two, to improve quality of care and health outcomes. So let me elaborate. Accessibility has been one of the biggest health challenges for India, as you know, and it is not just because of income inequity, but it is also due to severe shortage of health workers, doctors, nurses, technicians, primary and secondary health centers, and so on and so forth. And the result, it's a significant chunk, actually more than half of our population, which is left underserved or not served at all for medical services. So the misery has been staring in us, in our faces for decades. You pay a visit to any of the most reputed big hospitals, public hospitals, the OPDs, the waiting halls, the pavement subways outside the hospital, we see a sea of people who've come from far-flung places and deep interiors of India to consult a specialist for less than 10 minutes. Some waiting around for days and months until follow-ups are complete, going hungry, in an emotional broken state, living in dehumanized conditions, and somehow clinging to life on a tenable string of hope that, that they're giving a best shot to life by being at a good hospitals. So, and not to forget the physical and mental stress of all this on health workers. They are overwhelmed to serve crowds beyond capacity and with very limited resources. So digital health can certainly ease the system as well as the patients and the health workers. For example, telemedicine, that can enable access to specialized medical consultation services across the country as a supplement or a workaround to ease out doctor shortages and excessive load on tertiary care hospitals. It can supplement all district and community health centers, small and medium private clinics with enhanced capabilities, which is invaluable for low-income patients or medically underserved areas in difficult terrains, and a huge, a convenience for the elderly and the very sick. So, to your question specifically on it, on digital health's immediate adoption as a precautionary measure to stay away from overcrowded spaces, yes, this is a sensible way forward wherever it can be implemented. COVID-19 has overshadowed so many other diseases equally morbid and prevalent, such as tuberculosis or cancers and other chronic conditions of the heart that would have only deepened their foothold in society in the last month of the lockdown.
Yeah.
And digital health can also bring some ease to the stressful health workers right now who've been overwhelmed by giving them support of clinical decision making for them to become more effective.
Yes, ma'am. And ma'am, you mentioned telemedicine in the middle. And we've recently just released national telemedicine guidelines. What are your thoughts on that?
So, the telemedicine set of guidelines have existed for more than a decade now, Kriti. And, yes. Unfortunately, they have neither been comprehensive and, more importantly, nor binding. Now, National Health Policy of India lists telemedicine as an essential objective, but it has not yet been nurtured in India, unfortunately. ISRO had a modest starting with the telemedicine pilot project about, say, 20 years ago, or actually in 2001, the beginning of 2001. And it progressed very slowly. And the facilities have been dismal so far. There are two underlying reasons for which the performance and uptake of these facilities have not been good. And these are that we've had limited infrastructure and there has not been any regulation. Assuming now with this COVID-19 onslaught and the reactionary measure that the government may take, that the infrastructure will now be taken up at a war footing, there is an immediate need to convert these guidelines into policy. And the policy, when it comes, it will determine which business models and working models of telemedicine will emerge. There is no standardized format, for example, right now to qualify patient-physician interactions, or to seek patient consent for privacy and confidentiality of data. And there is no accountability framework to tackle medical legal negligence or malpractices or reimbursement for availing virtual consultations or digital prescriptions. Those who have insurance, how would they avail telemedicine facilities without any rules? So there is a lot that needs to be done. Guidelines are not enough. A policy is needed immediately.
Yes, ma'am. And you very rightly mentioned privacy. With DigiHealth, while it can really ease the burden of our health workers and provide, services virtually, there definitely is a big question of privacy. If we do decide to shift towards DigiHealth, how can we protect our rights better?
So privacy is a common question or challenge, that all countries are grappling with. It is not an India-specific issue, as we know. Health tech has been a transformational phenomenon of the fourth industrial revolution, and it will have diverse ramifications both for the industry and the society, and privacy being the biggest topic. Our society is only getting sicker and older with longer average lifespans and much more aware and concerned about data privacy than ever, because data is, after all, key to personal and national security. Now, the recently released National Digital Health Blueprint does address how it will tackle data interoperability within standards of privacy and security of digitized health data. But still, this is an evolving discussion at a global level. Each country is grappling and tackling it in a different way. And I can just say that India should take a seat on the high table to make sure that we are a part of these discussions and we shape and influence policy making on this matter as the world moves on after COVID-19.
Yes, ma'am. And very recently, you wrote an issue brief for ORF, and you had proposed adding more elements to the recently released National Digital Blueprint, Health Blueprint. So it would be great if you could sum up your recommendations for us here.
Yeah, sure. But before that, just to lay down the context, medical products of future will not just be the pills or injectable formulations that we see today, or scanning machines or dialyzers and so on and so forth. The medical products of future will include a lot of wearables that have already, pervaded in our lives, at least the lives of a few privileged ones, and technology-based diagnostics as well as treatment approaches. And when I say tech, it just doesn't mean IT or computer science or robotics. It includes biotech and genetic engineering approaches to design new drugs, to design diagnostics of future with a much deeper understanding of human body and diseases. So the next paradigm of health actually lies in personalized and precise medicine. And the next generation of patient is also a more empowered person, not a mere subject at the at the hand of health workers who are managing his or her ill health or disease. So therefore, when India released the National Digital Health Blueprint in January 2020, and before really critiquing it a bit, I must acknowledge, first, it is a timely move. Two, it is a brilliant document. With the objective to digitize health data at a population level for India, which is a colossal task. And not only that, but to link and integrate health data across public and private sectors. So while this exercise will be invaluable to, to mend the breaks in the system, so to bring about systemic fixes, and to bring a lot of efficiency in the way health system of India operates at the moment. But if you look at it from an individual perspective, having an electronic health record for self is certainly something very valuable. But a person will not be able to appreciate just that if this electronic health record doesn't give the person the option to access affordable medical help in the time of need. So we really have to look at certain solutions which can be brought out in parallel that will have a significant impact on the ground. So therefore, in the paper that I wrote for ORF, What I propose is a National Digital Health Blueprint 2.0, which should also include, along with the digitization activity for data, diverse elements of what will form a futuristic digital health ecosystem that would represent evenly the interplay of new science and technological innovations. So I spoke of telemedicine in that, and digital diagnostics and therapeutics, because digitization of health data alone will not maximize health outcomes or achieve the goal for health for all. India must expand the mission beyond to include applied aspects of digital health system and bring actionable impact. So I must say it is time, and there is a tremendous opportunity, that digital health can open for India to leapfrog decades of failure that we've had on health.
Yeah, especially with coronavirus.
Oh yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So thank you so much, ma'am. Your insights absolutely, they're very valuable, and we definitely hope to take them forward. Thank you so much for being here. It was a pleasure to have you.
Thank you very much. Pleasure to be with you.
Yeah, and thank you everybody for watching this video. If you have any suggestions or opinions, please do comment. Thank you.
Thanks.